In this video, I'm going to dive deep into a simple, small tool archers have been using all over the globe to increase their success rates. But before I do that, let's dive into some epic kill footage.
Look at this buck.
Oh, I'm talking a bullseye. A bush buck with a bow is so hard.
This is the biggest deer of my life. So big. Oh my god.
I got wires. Oh,
Easily my biggest whitetail.
what a
ever.
giant bull.
Thanks, babe.
No problem, babe.
That simple, small tool is a Bowmar Archery nose button. Now I know a lot of you guys watching this video may have already bought a Bowmar Archery nose button, but don't turn this off because I'm going to explain the scientific reason why this sucker is giving so many archers huge success rates when the time counts, like in the woods. When the deer's there and the pressure's the highest, people are performing better. And I'm going to explain to you the psychology behind what this little tiny thing is doing for us hunters and us archers. Let's dive in. So I want to dive into the science behind why the nose button is dramatically increasing archers' successes all over the world, whether that's on the course for the winning arrow or on a buck of a lifetime in the woods. So there's actually a lot to this little tiny thing, and we're going to dive into it right now. So the biggest reason why the nose button is triggering so much success is because of the spikes. Now, I could talk about the micro anchoring points, like for example, the string itself is 3 millimeters wide and the spike is only a 0.5 millimeter wide. So even if you don't use a kisser button at all, then you're like, well, I just use a string. Well, the nose button is still 6 times more precise than just the string itself. So you're missing out on a potentially 6 times more accurate anchor point. And so even if you just use the naked string, you're still missing opportunity on something a little bit more precise. If you use a kisser button, now we're talking about something that's 12.7 times more precise. And that's because a kisser button is a 1/4 inch across, roughly, the face to string contact. Is what I'm referencing here. So yes, it only weighs 2 grains, so it doesn't affect your bow, all these things. That does help. But what makes the biggest difference is the spikes itself and what it does from a psychology perspective to the archer when they're at full draw. So what you have to realize is a lot of guys at full draw, they in the time that it counts the most. So say you're on a buck of a lifetime or that target where you got $20,000 riding on whether you hit it or not. Those situations trigger massive amount of adrenaline in our body. All of us bow hunters, you bow hunters, know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going full draw on your deer and that heart rate is going crazy. Well, that response in your body leaves very little room for conscious behavior. So no, like, oh, check your form. Is your form good? Okay, gently pull, pull, pull. That's not how your brain is working. You guys know it as well as I do. Your brain's like, shoot him right now. He's gonna run any second. Fire, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. And your pin's not even on him. And you're having this mental battle and you're like, shoot, fire, fire. And you guys have done this where you're like, fire, poof. And your pin's not even on him. You shoot under him, you shoot over him, you hit him in no man's land, you hit him in the guts, you hit him in the shoulder. You're like, what the heck happened? But what happens is your brain is trying to get you to shoot as fast as possible. It's running this circular circuit. It's going, shoot. It's trying to tell your finger, let's say you're using a thumb button here, and you're using a thumb button. Your brain is running a signal to that thumb and saying, punch that trigger, punch it, fire, fire, fire. And your thumb is saying, I'm not firing yet. And your brain's going, fire. And it has this closed circuit. It's what it's called. Fire, 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 fire. And you guys experience this with target panic a lot too. And so if you have target panic, that's that loop. Fire, fire, fire. It's the worst when you're in front of an animal. And I say this to tell you that when you use a nose button, those spikes make a massive difference in high stress situations when you're most likely to fail. Those high adrenaline situations, because there's no other item on the market that will give you real life feedback that will interrupt that track. Say you're a racetrack, and that racetrack, and you're going in a circle 1,000,000 miles an hour, and there's no stopping it. Unless I dropped a boulder right in the middle of the racetrack, and you're like, oh, and you slam on the brakes, you're like, whoa, what is that? And that is basically what this nose button does. So at full draw, so if we come over here, and I'll go full draw right here and show you guys. So basically, let's say I got that buck of a lifetime in front of me. I'm like, oh gosh, he's there. And I'm stopping him, and I'm like, I need to shoot. And I'm not even freaking anchored. I'm just looking at my pin. I'm not even looking at, and you shoot and you miss, or you shoot him in the guts. This happens a lot. But what happens with the nose button, you're like, meh, and you hit this nose button. And because the tactile sensitivity of your nose is so sensitive, like that sensitivity of your nose is just so precise that when you touch that, well, perfect example, flick yourself in the nose, your eyes start watering. You flick yourself anywhere else on your body, nowhere else is going to make your eyes water. Maybe one place. I won't say what that is, but think about that. So that is one of the most sensitive parts of your body. And so when you poke that, it interrupts that shoot, shoot, shoot. It goes, oh, that nose button hits your nose, and you say, oh, form, check. Is my form right? Everything's right. Okay, fire. That tiny slowdown, even though it only takes a half a second to a full second, that little slowdown increases archer success all over the world because it allows them to have that real life feedback to where their face is on the string in relation to their peep and their sight. It's the only product in the world that does that. And what that does, that allows the archer to be in perfect form before that arrow is cut loose. Everything else that's ever been on the market, a kisser button doesn't do that. Nothing else. No gadget you could put on your bow. No $100 thing is going to give you any real life feedback before the arrow shoots. And I'm going to prove this actually with a clip of my 200 I killed last year, lightning. Some of you guys have seen this clip. If you haven't, the full hunt is on YouTube. So I'll put the link in that video in the description. But this is probably the number one reason why a lot of people buy the nose button. And the number one reason it sold me on my own product was that hunt right there. I want to run that clip and show you guys just how critical this nose button was for me getting that buck. So let's go watch that clip and you guys can see how bad my form was, and I corrected it because of the nose button. Let's roll it.
I just killed lightning.
So as you guys can see, when I went full draw, I'll actually come over here. So when I went full draw on him, because I was like this, twisted like this, and I was centered, but do you see where my nose is? See, I'm centered in my peep, but my nose isn't even touching. So I was like constantly fighting this, trying to get that right. And it was not comfortable, but I wasn't in a comfortable situation in the tree. I never expected to shoot him over there. I thought he'd go on one of these other trails, and I had a branch that was like all jacked up that I was in, and that was in my way. So I was in a very uncomfortable situation, which a lot of guys find themselves in that situation when they're hunting. I mean, you guys know as well as I do, in ground blinds, they're not perfect. Sometimes the windows are too low, sometimes they're too high, sometimes they're in the wrong place. Real life situations they're not the backyard when you're just sitting there relaxed, the target's not moving, he doesn't run 2 steps when you mat or do anything. It's all relaxed. In the real world, you don't know exactly where he's going to come. So that's where that nose button makes such a big difference, because it gives you that feedback. I would have shot that deer 1,000% without the nose button. I would have shot him with incorrect form, and I would have missed a mile to the left or a mile to the right, which would have been a freaking bad gut shot or a shoulder shot. You see this a lot. You even see this in professional television on some shows where guys that are veteran killers, I mean hardcore killers, and they'll hit them low in the leg, or they hit them really far back or really high, and they don't know what happened. The pin was on the bullseye and the arrow went somewhere totally different. Well, that's because they were in an awkward situation in the blind, tree stand, whatever, and they couldn't get to that perfect anchor. This interrupts that pattern of chaos in your brain. That chaos is what causes people to miss. They cause people to shoot low. They cause people to hit high because they say, oh, the deer ducked. Well, you kind of fired when it was in his tenderloin. So, again, deer do duck. I'm not discrediting that at all. But a lot of times, guys, when your pin's coming down on the animal and you punch it early, and again, a lot of that is because your brain is saying, fire, 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 fire. It's like, it's chaotic in there. You can't think. This interrupts that. This will absolutely make a difference for you. And if you are a bow hunter out there, you need to have one of these on your bow. I mean, you can fight it all you want, but I promise you, it will increase your success in the woods, especially for the average guy that doesn't shoot over and over and over again every single day that's out there practicing. Because when that adrenaline is at its highest point, you will perform at your worst. Archery is all about letting the bow do the work, right? So the more tension you have in this hand and this arm and face, and the more tension you have in your body, the worse the bow will shoot. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all, because the environment that we're shooting the bow in the wild is the most intense and stressful situations we can put our bodies in. To our body, it's like life or death. Whether we kill this animal or not, whether we eat or not. Like, that's the old part of our reptilian brain that is literally life or death for us. So that is really hard to train for, to keep everything relaxed in that high adrenaline state. So you need to have something that interrupts that pattern of chaos, that slows you down just for a second, so you can have that, form. Yes, and again, I go full draw. I'm like this. It's, oh my gosh, I gotta shoot, fire, fire, fire. And I'm like, oh, form, okay. Oh, that's perfect. Pin's perfect. Okay, pin's on the deer. All right, pull, fire. That will increase your guys' success. And if you're a brand new archer and you're watching this and you don't like, well, I'm not good enough to need one of these, I would put this on every single bow, no matter how good you are. And guys, it is proof in the pudding. The best archers in the world are using the nose button. That has to have some sort of credibility for you guys. Levi Morgan, 13-time world champion, has been using this product for 3 years, and he has arguably had the best seasons of his life using the Bowmar Archery nose button. He just won Shooter of the Year again. And Levi, he would never compromise making his bow shoot less accurate for a product or endorsement. Levi shot our product, and I hate to say this because it could put him in a bad situation with other sponsors, but he shot our product for free for 2 years. And I say that because we were a growing company just starting out, and he believed in the product that much. And he knew long term, like, this product would be doing things and going places, and he believed in it from the beginning, and he used it, compensated zero for the first year and a half, on to his second year. So I say that only to gain credibility for the nose button. There's a lot of other famous people too that are using the nose button, like Brady Allison. He is an Olympic recurve shooter. He's a 3-time medalist, and he put the nose button on, and he literally thinks it's going to be illegal in the recurve edition in a few years because it makes that big of a difference. He went and broke a world record using the Bowmar Archery nose button recurve edition, which is 60% softer. So there are 2 different versions of a nose button you can buy. If you're like, I don't really like the spikes, I don't want it to be that sharp, you could get the recurve edition. It is 60% softer, so it's not as pungent, that's not the word, I guess, but anyway, it's not as harsh on the nose. So, but I liked it to be sharp. And what's nice is we made it out of a thermoplastic that can be heated and melted. So if you like it dull, or you want to use it for a kisser button and a nose button, you could take a lighter and heat it up and melt the spikes off. But I don't recommend melting all the spikes. Just melt one spike, because then you eventually may like the spike and you could rotate it on the string and then have a fresh spike if it dulls out for you by shooting it a lot or by melting it. So anyway, I don't want to digress or in the video yet because there's still so much more about the nose button I want to dive into. So again, high stress situations, your brain is telling you to fire even when the pin's not on the bullseye. You guys experience this a lot. The nose button interrupts that, stops it, says focus on form, and it just draws you away. It's just kind of like a slap in the face, like, oh, form, execute, fire. Okay. Another reason why everyone is having so much success with this is actually because of facial pressure issues. Facial pressure is a huge problem with modern bows like any new brand. Hoyt Matthews, all of them have high let off, 80, 85%. Some of them are more than others. And so when you're talking about that much let off, what that means is 85% of the tension in the string is gone at full draw. So you're only holding a few pounds of pressure if you're only shooting, 60, 70 pounds, which can be a problem because then that means that this string is very flexible. And I've already done a video on this, and I'll actually put the link in the description and the link right there, right here, on everything on this being a huge mistake with facial pressure and all this. But this nose button gives you feedback as you press into the string. So with very little tension, if you push this string off, now at full draw, it takes literally no effort at all to move the string. And so let's say you got that deer of a lifetime right in front of you, and you're pressing into the string, and you don't realize it because your brain is saying, fire, fire, he's coming into the shooting lane, you got 10 seconds, here he comes, everyone, and you're pushing into the string, you don't know it. I get crazy, I want to take a breath. But the point is, you're pushing a string, you have no feedback whatsoever that's telling you you're pushing into the string. You shoot the deer, hit him in the shoulder, and you're like, great. Now it's sleepless nights. You hit him low, you hit him in the guts, you shoot him in the liver. You're like, oh God, what happened? My pin wasn't there. Like, why did my arrow hit there? I practice, never had these issues. That's because of that adrenaline rush in your body. It makes everything go to crap when it comes to being relaxed. And everything that makes a great archer, it goes to crap when your adrenaline goes through the roof. So that's why that nose button makes such a big difference with the facial pressure. So as you go full draw and you're like, and it's chaotic and you're going like this and you're like, oh, I'm going full draw. Okay, he's coming into my shooting lane, and you push into the string to center up your peep, that nose button pokes you. The harder you push, the more uncomfortable it gets. So it's also the only product in the world that does that. So as you push into the string, it gets more and more uncomfortable, which gives you that real life feedback that your form is incorrect. This is huge. It is especially huge in those high tense situations where the deer's about to walk into a shooting lane. You stop them, you press into the string, and you get feedback, and it goes too hard, and your brain says, that doesn't feel very good. And then you come out of it, you recenter, you do everything soft, and it's constantly interrupting that pattern to shoot, 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 shoot. And it slows it down, says focus, form. Okay, everything's right, execute. And we have thousands of testimonies to share this. If you want to just read some of them, our Instagram page at Bowmar_archery is full of them. Literally hundreds and thousands of customers send in photos every single day sharing their success. I was constantly wounding deer, and now I'm 12 ringing them, and now I'm this, now I'm that. It's made a difference. It's changed my life. And I'm going to put a lot of reviews right here. Just cover the whole screen with all these reviews so you guys can see how awesome this is. But this is real, and it's making such a huge difference for archers. And as you guys can tell, I'm super passionate about this because I absolutely love making a difference in anybody's life, let alone archers. And so if I can help increase the success in someone in the field, it's like I had success with them. Like I was sitting there with them in the field, which is so cool. So anytime anyone ever shoots a deer with the nose button or shoots anything with the nose button, it's like I had my fingerprints on that hunt. And that is so cool to me because I love to help people. And that is awesome. So again, if you guys support me and support our family by buying a Bowmar Archery nose button, I want you to know I'm very grateful from the bottom of my heart. And please send in your success stories and your testimonies on your experience with the nose button because I love reading them. I read every single one of them. We share them on our social media accounts. I think it is awesome to receive those. So please continue to do that. So let's do a quick recap why you should consider buying a Bowmar Archery Nose Button. For one, it doesn't take any tools to install. Everything that you need to install the Bowmar Archery Nose Button is in the package. 2 strands of serving and 2 different nose buttons. And so no bow press, nothing. So that's pretty awesome. So you can just have it shipped right to your house and install it yourself by actually watching our installation video that we've done on YouTube, which I'll put the link in the description as well. So no tools required. It's extremely lightweight, so it has 0 effect on your bow performance, and specifically speed. So the large one only weighs 2.2 grains and the small one weighs 0.9 grains, which no matter what bow poundage you shoot, it has 0 effect on the speed itself. And it's also because it sits closer to your peep sight. So the higher you go up on your string, the less effect it actually has on the speed of the bow itself. So it doesn't affect your bow speed. In fact, if you actually switch from a kisser button to a nose button, your bow will actually shoot around 5 feet per second faster, because a kisser button weighs about 15 grains, which is 15 times heavier than a nose button. So if you are on the fence and you're like, well, I kind of like my kisser button, I would actually watch the video on how to turn a nose button into a kisser button. Real easy. All you do is just take a lighter, melt all the spikes off, and you have an awesome kisser button that only weighs 2 grains instead of 15. And so you can still shoot faster bows by swapping these out. Another reason, you get real-time feedback. I'm talking, it is the only product in the world that gives you feedback on bad form before you shoot. Yeah, great, you shoot, wham, and you're like, wow, I missed left, dang it. Well, I wonder what that was. Was it my grip? Was it facial pressure? Was I creeping forward in the wall? Was I pulling too hard? You have all these things that could cause a miss. But with the nose button, you'll know that it wasn't facial pressure. You'll know it wasn't an anchor point issue, because it is so precise and it gives you exact feedback every single time before you shoot, and you'll know that it's perfect or not. Lastly, it's extremely precise. That with less than a 0.5 millimeter of precision. That precision is so incredibly important, because when you draw back and it pokes you in the nose, that level of precision disrupts that pattern when you are in those high stressed, high adrenaline situations where, oh my gosh, I have to shoot. And nose button hits you, you're, oh, wait a second. Form, okay. Peep square, everything's good. Okay, now fire. Pow. That is where the nose button shines the most. I wanted to finish on that because that is literally where this nose button shines. And its absolute best glory is in that. And I have to be honest with you guys, I didn't invent it to do that. I feel kind of silly admitting that. I want to say, I'm like, oh, I did it. I did all this on purpose. And the truth is I didn't. I just wanted something precise, because I used to tie serving in there. And you guys can try this if you want to try something different. But I used to tie serving on my string where my nose was. Then my serving would slide up. It would slide down. I would try to meld it into a point. And then when I would draw back, the serving would go one way or the other. It was really annoying and frustrating, because the serving would never be perfect. And I finally would get it perfect as I would shoot, because it wasn't made out of a hard plastic or anything like that. It would just get dull over time and I stopped feeling it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make something all medieval with spikes all over it. And I did it. I invented this for myself. But then I let my wife try it. She found all this success. I found some great success. I gave it to some friends, including Levi Morgan and the original days, and they all said, this is amazing. We should make this into a product. And that's why I invented it. So it was for the precision, not for all this other amazing things, but I later found it did all these things. So again, if you guys are on the fence, please support our family and support our company by buying a Bowmar Archery Nose Button. If you're a little worried about the spikes being too sharp, you can get the recurve edition. It's 60% softer. So I think if you guys, I think it's great for anybody out there, any archer of any level, no matter whether you shoot animals or targets. I think it could be a great tool in your inventory to have. And again, if you guys don't like it, we offer a 100% money back guarantee. So we will refund your money, no questions asked. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. It is a perfect time to do that because we are giving away a 6-day, 7-animal African safari hunt. And as soon as we hit 200,000 subscribers, we are giving away this hunt to one of you lucky subscribers out there. So make sure to hit the bell notifications and subscribe to our channel to enter into that giveaway. And leave comments on our videos. You know, we will be picking a subscriber from our comments on all of our most recent videos. So make sure to do that and let us know what you think of these. Anyway, guys, we love and appreciate all of your support. Thank you for tuning in to Bowmar Archery and Bowmar Bow Hunting.